All right, everyone, get ready, because today we're going deep on the UK's R&D tax credit scheme.
Sounds exciting.
It is. And listeners want to know how to actually use this for their businesses.
Of course, it's a big deal.
We've got this great blog post from MA and CO accountants. It came out November 27th of this year.
Yeah?
It's called How the R&D Tax Credit Scheme Works for SMEs and Large Companies. Recent changes explained. It lays it all out for SMEs and large companies, even goes into the recent changes.
So we're covering all the bases today.
Absolutely. And we're talking about potentially saving a lot of money, maybe even getting money back.
All by investing in innovation.
Exactly. It's like the government is saying, go out there, be creative, develop new things, improve what you have, and we'll help you out.
I like the sound of that.
Right. Not a bad deal at all.
Not bad at all. And what's interesting is so many businesses don't even know they could qualify for this.
Really?
Yeah, they hear R&D and just think about scientists and labs.
It makes sense.
But it's way broader than that.
It is. So let's get into it. What sorts of things count as R&D?
Well, it's actually a pretty wide range of things.
Like what?
Improving materials you're already using, developing new products, creating software, even coming up with new solutions to tough technical problems.
So it's not just coming up with something totally new.
Right. If your business is trying new things, pushing boundaries, working in a systematic way to find solutions, you could be eligible.
Wow, that's a lot more than I initially thought.
I know, right?
So even if I'm not, in a science field, it's worth looking into.
Definitely. So many businesses miss out because they don't realize their work might qualify.
Okay, so let's say I'm an SME, under 500 employees and all that.
Right.
What are we talking about benefits-wise?
Okay, so for SMEs, there's something called the enhanced deduction.
Enhanced deduction.
Yeah, think of it like a super deduction. On top of the 100% you can usually deduct for R&D costs.
Oh, okay.
SMEs can deduct an extra 86%, so it brings the total to 186%.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is, and it can really change how much a company pays in taxes.
Yeah, I bet.
Now, for those SMEs that aren't making a profit yet,
Right.
there's this thing called the payable tax credit.
Payable tax credit.
Yeah, HMRC will actually give money back to SMEs that are losing money based on what they spend on R&D.
Hold on. So they get money back?
Yep. Right now, it's 10% of that enhanced R&D spending we talked about.
So if an SME spends, let's just say, £100,000 on R&D,
Right.
they could get £18,600 back.
Exactly.
That's incredible. It's like the government really wants those new companies to take chances.
Yeah, they wanted them to push those boundaries.
Makes sense.
They want to create an environment where innovation can happen, and that helps the whole economy in the long run.
Definitely.
Now, for the big companies out there,
What's in it for them?
for large companies, the ones with more than 500 employees, or those that go over the turnover and balance sheet limits,
Okay.
they have something called the Research and Development Expenditure Credit, RDEC for short.
RDEC. Got it.
Instead of that enhanced deduction, RDEC gives them a 20% taxable credit based on what they spend on qualifying R&D.
So it's not a direct cut in their taxable profits, like for the smaller businesses.
No, but it still means they pay less in taxes overall.
Okay, I see.
Let's say a large company also spends that same £100,000 on R&D.
Right.
They can claim a £20,000 RDEC credit.
So they still end up paying less in taxes, even though it's added to their taxable income.
That's the idea.
So both schemes, they really encourage companies of all sizes to innovate.
Exactly. And that brings us to some changes that have been made to the R&D tax credit scheme.
Oh, this is where things get interesting.
Right. In November 2023, they announced some big changes.
Like what?
The biggest one is that they're merging the SME and RDEC schemes.
Whoa, merging them.
Yep. Starting April 1st, 2024, there's going to be one single scheme.
That's a huge change.
It is. The goal is to simplify everything and make things fair for all businesses.
Makes sense. I can see how that would be helpful.
Yeah, it'll make it easier for businesses to access these tax benefits.
So less paperwork, less confusion.
Exactly.
That's great.
And one really cool thing is that they're introducing more support for R&D intensive SMEs.
R&D intensive. What does that even mean?
It's all about how much of your resources and activities are focused on R&D.
So if my company is really focused on innovation,
If you're all about pushing those boundaries,
then I might qualify for even more tax credits.
it's like a bonus for those SMEs that are truly dedicated to innovation.
I like it.
It's a win-win. They get to be more ambitious with their R&D and get that crucial financial support.
Now, you mentioned earlier that they're making things simpler,
Right.
but the blog also mentions some new restrictions, something about nominations and assignments.
Ah, yes. The government's also trying to prevent misuse of the system.
Okay, that makes sense.
These restrictions are meant to stop companies from claiming credits they shouldn't, or from transferring them to people who aren't eligible.
So it's about making sure the benefits are going to the right places.
Yeah, exactly. It's about fairness and supporting genuine innovation in the UK.
This is a lot of information to digest.
I know, right?
Where should someone even start if they think they might qualify?
The first thing is to figure out if you have those R&D activities happening in your business.
And remember, think broadly.
Yeah. Don't rule yourself out just because you don't think your work is innovative enough.
It might be.
Exactly. It's not all about inventing spaceships.
Right.
It could be about making your processes better, finding creative solutions to those tricky problems.
So many possibilities.
Don't underestimate yourself. That's the key takeaway here.
Once you've figured out your potential R&D activities, what's next?
Then you have to be really good about keeping records.
Like documenting everything.
Everything. Staff costs, materials, subcontractors, software, even those little things you use up.
Okay, that's a lot.
And I know it can feel overwhelming.
Why is all this documentation so important?
You need it to make your claim.
And to make sure everything is legitimate with HMRC.
Exactly. This is why it can be really helpful to have some professional advice.
From those R&D specialists we talked about earlier.
Yeah, they can help you through the whole process, make sure you're claiming everything you can, and that you're doing everything the right way for HMRC.
I can see why that would be a good idea.
It's an investment, really, an investment in your company's future.
Now, before we move on, are there any resources out there that people should know about?
Yeah, the blog mentions a couple of good ones.
Like what?
First, there's this R&D tax relief calculator.
Oh, interesting.
It's on the government's website. You can use it to get a quick estimate of how much you might save, so you have an idea of what you could be eligible for.
Sounds useful.
And if you want to really dig into the details, HMRC has a whole page dedicated to R&D on their website.
Okay.
It's surprisingly easy to use, and it has a ton of information about how the scheme works.
Great. So there are definitely resources available.
Yeah, you don't have to go it alone.
All right, so we've covered a lot here. It's clear that this scheme has a lot of benefits for businesses, big and small.
It does.
But it's complicated.
It is.
It seems like it's really important to understand the rules and to maybe even get professional advice.
Definitely. But if you approach it the right way and have the right knowledge,
this scheme can be really powerful for driving innovation and helping your company grow.
absolutely.
And with all these changes, it seems like there's going to be even more opportunity for businesses to benefit, especially those R&D intensive SMEs.
It's a really exciting time for innovation in the UK.
It is.
These changes show that the government really wants to support businesses that are pushing the boundaries and coming up with new technologies.
Now, with all these changes, there have to be some challenges that businesses might face.
Oh, for sure.
What are some things we should be thinking about as we move forward? Merging two schemes into one is a big deal.
You're absolutely right. That's something we should definitely talk about.
All right, well, let's dig into those challenges and the opportunities, too, in our next segment.
Sounds good to me. There's a lot more to unpack here.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back. Yeah, I think one of the first challenges is going to be getting used to this new combined system.
Right, makes sense.
There are going to be new guidelines and procedures to figure out.
Probably even new software to learn.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I can imagine that being overwhelming for some businesses, especially smaller ones.
Definitely. For SMEs especially, it's going to be crucial to stay updated on all the changes.
And maybe get some professional help.
Oh, absolutely. Having someone who really knows this stuff.
Yeah, like those R&D tax specialists.
Exactly. Someone you can trust to guide you through it all, they're going to be in high demand.
I bet.
But, while there are definitely challenges,
Right.
this merger could also create some really good opportunities.
How so?
Well, remember, one of the big goals is to make the system easier.
Okay. Yeah.
So it should be easier for businesses to actually get those tax benefits.
Less paperwork, less confusion.
Exactly. And hopefully more time to focus on actually innovating. Plus, with a more level playing field, we might see more businesses of all sizes participating in this scheme.
That would be great.
It would. The more businesses that take advantage of this, the better it is for everyone.
Definitely, because in the end, it's all about encouraging businesses to invest in R&D.
Absolutely. That's what drives progress and helps the whole economy.
So let's talk about what our listeners can do right now to get ready for these changes.
Okay, great idea.
What should they be doing?
The first thing is to get familiar with the new guidelines as soon as they come out.
So stay tuned to HMRC updates.
Exactly, and if you're not sure about something, don't hesitate to talk to one of those R&D tax specialists.
Good advice.
They can give you advice specific to your situation and help you come up with a plan for maximizing your benefits under the new scheme.
Sounds like a good plan.
And since we know how important record keeping is,
Oh, yeah.
now's a good time to take a look at how you're doing things and make sure you're keeping track of all the right information.
Like a spring cleaning for your R&D records.
Exactly. If you're organized and ready, it'll make the whole claiming process a lot smoother.
Makes sense. Less stress for everyone.
Right. Less stress for you, more energy to put towards those groundbreaking innovations.
We've talked about the big picture, but I'm curious about your take on the long-term impact of these changes on the UK's innovation landscape.
Ooh, that's a big question.
It is.
I think this could be a real game changer, especially for SMEs.
How so?
Well, if the system is simpler and easier to use, we might see a lot more businesses investing in R&D.
Interesting.
And that could lead to all sorts of new products and services and technologies.
So many possibilities.
Right. And who knows, maybe other countries will see what the UK is doing and try something similar.
That would be amazing. A global wave of innovation.
I love it. It all starts with supporting those businesses that are out there pushing the boundaries.
Let's get back to those practical steps for a minute.
Oh,
We talked about record keeping and staying informed and getting expert advice.
right.
But what about actually figuring out which of your activities are eligible for R&D tax credits?
Ah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
That's where things can get a bit tricky.
How so?
Well, the definition of R&D, it's pretty broad. It covers a wide range of things.
So it can be hard to know what actually counts.
Exactly. This is why it's so important to really understand the guidelines.
And to remember that it's not just about inventing something brand new.
Right. There's so much more to it than that.
Like what?
Well, it can also be about advancing the overall knowledge or capability in a field,
Okay.
or overcoming scientific or technological uncertainties,
I see.
or using a systematic approach to achieve an advance.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure. So what does it mean to advance overall knowledge or capability in a field?
I'm listening.
It doesn't have to be about lab coats and test tubes. It could be something as simple as developing a new manufacturing process that's more efficient or creates less waste.
So even small improvements can count.
Absolutely. If you're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, even just a little bit, you could be eligible.
That's good to know.
Now, when we talk about overcoming scientific or technological uncertainties,
Right.
think about a software company that's trying to integrate a new type of AI into their platform.
Okay, I'm following.
There might be all sorts of technical challenges, things they don't know about how the AI will work in the real world.
So facing those challenges, the unknowns, that's a sign that you're doing R&D.
Exactly. It's about going beyond what we already know, exploring new territory, finding new solutions to complex problems.
I like that, exploring new territory.
And then there's the systematic approach that the guidelines talk about.
Right, what does that mean?
It basically means having a structured way of doing your R&D.
Okay.
You need clear objectives, you need to document your methods, and you need to track your progress.
So no more just messing around in the garage.
Well, a little bit of creative chaos is always good.
Of course.
But if you want to claim those R&D tax credits, you need to be systematic about it.
Makes sense. It shows that you're serious about innovation.
Exactly, and it gives you the evidence you need to support your claim.
We've covered a lot of ground here, and it's clear that this scheme can be pretty complex.
It can be.
But with the right knowledge and preparation, it can be a really valuable tool for businesses to tap into their innovative potential.
I completely agree.
Before we wrap things up, I have one last question for you. Okay, so let's say there is a business out there thinking about claiming these credits for the first time. What's the one piece of advice you would give them, the most important thing to remember?
That's a good one. I think if I had to pick just one thing,
Yeah.
it would be don't sell yourself short.
What do you mean?
A lot of businesses, especially smaller ones,
Right.
they think their work isn't good enough, innovative enough to qualify for these credits.
They think it's only for those big companies, or like you said earlier, the scientists in the labs.
Yeah, exactly. But innovation, it comes in all shapes and sizes.
It does.
It could be a new product or a new way of doing things, a new solution to an old problem.
If you're trying new things, experimenting, taking risks,
You're probably doing R&D without even realizing it.
so be open to the possibilities.
Exactly. And don't forget, There are people out there who can help you figure all this out.
The experts.
Yeah, don't let the system scare you away from claiming what you deserve.
Like we said, getting some professional advice is a smart move.
Absolutely, it's an investment in your company.
Well said. Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
We have
We've gone through the UK R&D tax credit scheme, all the details.
eligibility, the recent changes, what businesses need to do.
We busted some myths, talked about some great opportunities.
Hopefully, we've given everyone listening the information they need to make smart decisions about claiming these tax benefits.
It's been a fascinating journey. This scheme can seem pretty intimidating at first,
It can, definitely.
but we've broken it down, made it a bit easier to understand.
I think so. And it's important to remember, the potential rewards for businesses are huge.
They are. So to everyone listening, we encourage you to keep learning about this scheme.
Yeah, check out the resources we talked about. See if your work qualifies.
You might be surprised.
You never know. You could be the next big innovator taking advantage of this scheme.
That's a great thought. So keep innovating, keep pushing boundaries, keep those creative sparks flying.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And we'll be here to keep you updated and inspired every step of the way.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the UK's R&D tax credit scheme.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.